From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Keith Allen, and proudly welcoming you to this Friday's edition of For the People for a September the 15th, 2017. And I got to tell you, I am very glad that it is Friday. With Hurricane Irma and just everything that goes along with that, and still unpacking and putting things away, but back at the house because I had to move out. I was in a flood zone close to Bayshore Boulevard in Tampa, but thrilled that nothing really bad happened. Besides, the electricity has been the biggest nuisance, and thankfully more Tampians in the Bay Area are getting their power on, and those in Pinellas County, same thing. Yesterday, they said it was 60% of homes and businesses that were hooked back up. It's up to a higher number this morning, which is a great thing. I'm hearing more people were able to get back in their houses again. And, you know, there's no place like home. I mean, when your stuff is there and, you know where everything is, and your bed especially. I got to tell you, you can go to a lot of hotel rooms, and I've done a lot of travel through the years. But, once you get that bed, you know what I'm talking about. It's just absolutely beautiful. Overnight, it actually happened early evening yesterday. You may have heard about North Korea launching a missile and literally sent people running in the streets of Japan because of alarms going off, kind of like World War II days. Squealing, and their alarms are really eerie over there. Foreign alarms sound different from the alarms over here. But anyways, it was alarming for Japanese citizens because news stations were telling people that there was a launch. It was incoming. They never know whether or not they're under attack. They don't know if it's going to go over Japan. And yes, it went over Japan. And this time further, as a matter of fact, can reach Guam now. It splashed into the Pacific Ocean and went much further. And nobody shot the thing down. That's just how many of these will he launch until he decides, you know what, we're going to go ahead and we're going to strike somebody. I mean, it just seems like we're allowing him to go further and further and further. I've read some op-eds saying that this is nothing more than war games, and we know it, and we're allowing him to do that. That's one theory that this one pundit had to say in an op-ed column, and it was very interesting, some of the things that he pointed out about we are never going to go to war, in his opinion, which I don't subscribe to that. I don't think so. I have said that I don't think that there's any other option, unfortunately, than some type of military action, and exactly what that looks like, I don't know. I really don't know. I've spoken to several people on the inside that work in the Pentagon or work in the service. As you can imagine, through the years, being in talk radio and living in the D.C. area, I've been able to meet up with people from all sectors of government, and we get phone calls, in the middle of the night, giving us information off the record, always off the record, obviously. To me, if they're going to want to do an EMP in North America, why not do an EMP over their atmosphere? Why not do something? We've tested these things out. Why don't we shut down their grid? Why don't we shut down their capability and surgical strikes, and very fast and swift on wherever they have these launchers or wherever they have these silos? I know everybody says, yeah, but they're going to start launching everything 30 miles to the DMZ, and I know it's that, and that's the problem. That's what they pointed out in the op-ed. That they say that Kim has pretty much got us by you know what. we're not going to do anything because the moment we do, they know that we got, 10,000 plus troops, millions in population. And in the op-ed piece, they were talking about, he doesn't even have to be that brilliant. He could just be creative. For instance, he pointed out the power grid over there. They have 6 to 10 reactors. Now, they're farther up north, but if you get some folks in the tunnels, you get some people that are over the border, they head there and decide to launch something there and wreak havoc. I mean, you could have, 4 or 5 Chernobyls. So that would poison the peninsula pretty big time, wouldn't you say? They're all really scary scenarios. And I'm not one for war. But at the same time, I'm a realist. And I also believe that the White House is very carefully crafting, and if not already on the table, options, and several of them, I am certain of that. It's what we take right now. And, if I was Japan, man, this is the second time. The second time that they've done this over their country. It's freaking these people out. And what really sank my heart is that, my brother actually lives in Japan. He loves it over there. There's a lot of Americans that live in Japan. They have businesses over there. And as a matter of fact, he's got a business over there. But anyway, and he lives in Nagoya. And he was very concerned. He works with children. They teach him English and things like that. And, that's big business over there. He likes doing it. Man, he likes Japanese women. Hey, that's his thing. I don't mess with him on that. Yeah, they're nice. The culture's good. What confuses me a little bit is the sitting on the floor. I don't mind doing Indian style once in a while where there's not enough chairs someplace. And the bed situation is usually you're on the floor too. I don't know. I guess you get used to it. It's all culture. So if you grow into it, you don't think anything of it. But I'm thinking, man, where's the table? But, it's customary. So, as the saying goes, I think in this case, not in Rome, but as in Japan, you do what the Japanese do. Anyway, very disturbing. And then this morning, you've probably heard the London terror attack, homemade bombs, and according to some bomb experts saying that at least on one of the tubes that didn't fully go off, the explosive, and luckily no deaths have been attributed so far to this terrorist attack in London. But President Donald Trump took to Twitter to denounce the terror attack that took place and urged authorities and others to take more proactive steps while calling for a larger, tougher, and more specific travel ban here in the United States. Now, he's taken a lot of backlash in London. They don't really think that his words were very helpful. He said, another attack in London by a loser terrorist. These are sick and demented people who are in the sights of Scotland Yard, must be proactive, Trump wrote in a post on Twitter. British police said Friday that the president's tweets are unhelpful given their investigation. Loser terrorists must be dealt with in a much tougher manner. The internet is their main recruitment tool, which we must cut off and use better. Trump continued in a subsequent tweet. The travel ban in the United States should be far larger, tougher, and more specific by stupidly that would not be politically correct. Well, the PC climate over there is definitely have made it much riper for terrorism over there. And that should, you would think, bring a little bit more clarity to the situation. And Donald Trump is trying to use the situation in London to say, hey, folks, if we don't have this travel ban, if we don't have this border wall, if we don't have it contained over here, this is what's going to happen. This will be the norm. We have to have a handle. And I think that's all the president's trying to really say when bringing up the travel ban. But, he's going to get a lot of heat from this. A lot of people are going to be ticked off about this. So the travel ban into the United States should be far larger, tougher, and more specific. Do you think the president's right? Do you think it's a good opportunity? Donald Trump, we have made more progress in the last 9 months against ISIS than the Obama administration has made in 8 years. Must be proactive and nasty. I like the nasty word. Nasty. We must be nasty. Homemade bomb exploded on a packed rush hour commuter train. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the London terrorist attack. It injured 22 people. It's about 5 hours ahead of us. It was around noontime when it happened. People being treated for facial injuries, burns, leg burns. And the police say there it's what's being treated as fifth terrorism attack in Britain this year. Fifth. Passengers heading into the capital fled as fires engulfed a carriage. They call them carriages at Parsons Green. So if you know the underground station there in West London, some suffered burns while others injured in a stampede to escape. Trump's series of tweets comes ahead of a key Supreme Court hearing next month on the constitutionality of his executive order on the ban. The travel ban affects travelers from 6 mostly Muslim nations and refugees anywhere in the world. Folks, this, has been a touchy thing for the president. It's been touchy for a lot of Trump supporters when it comes to talking about Muslim extremists, Muslim terrorists. But unfortunately, this is a plague that we're dealing with. It's like a cancer, and we have to certainly be aware of it and not be complacent about it. We have to do everything that we can, and I really do believe that we have a fighter that's in our corner in the White House. And I think it's very sharp of Donald Trump to be able to pick this up and say, look, America, don't stop thinking about this. Anybody that believes that we should protect ourselves and our borders and not just allow anybody in here, illegally especially, but without vetting from known terrorist countries, that would mean ill will towards us, we should be careful. Look, we screen people at airports. All right? Why do we do that? Post 9/11, we screen people because we don't want folks, and you can't say this on the airline, you don't talk about it at the airport, but we're on the radio, so we can say it. We don't want a bomb on the plane. We don't want the plane to blow up. So that's why people go through these long lines. They pay for the expedited TSA checks and get through there a little bit quickly or quicker. But many people are inconvenienced. But is it inconvenience? I don't think so. If you can avoid your plane going down from an explosion from a terrorist. Remember Reed, the shoe bomber? I mean, there's all sorts of ways. The FBI picked up that they're going to use laptop computers and things like that where they can put C4 and get real creative on that. And planes are still the number one prize for ISIS, if any way that they'd get in there. So you can't be lax because that's the biggest shock and awe of the air of all time. If they could get a plane, believe me, they would be using it today. But that's the problem, though, with a lot of folks in this country that, another terrorist attack hasn't happened for 6 months, over here or whatever, and they think nothing of it. But you don't realize that if we don't get a handle at the border, if we can't tighten up at the border, if we don't build the wall, whether it's a full wall